So today's video has a really long title, but it's the best way to convey what I'm going to talk about today. So this is Birds of a Feather Murder Together, aka Why I Will Never Own Red Star, and it's kind of surprising that given that I've regularly-ish posted videos for quite a while now, that I haven't talked about chickens at all, especially given the fact that I am titled myself the original chicken girl. So this is a story about chickens. And it got brought up because this weekend my sister was talking about how she had a friend who was asking for advice because she had some red stars that had started to murder her other chickens. So, and of course when that happened, my mom and I were sitting there going, oh my gosh, this is exactly what happened to us several years ago, the first time we decided to order some red star. Now, to be fair, if you are a small-time backyard poultry person, if all you have is red star, they are great layers. Or if you have an equal amount, like equal amount red star and one other variety that's the same amount, they'll probably be okay. But in general, I don't plan on purchasing them ever again in my lifetime. And here is why. So there's a couple different things you need to know about chickens. One, they act like middle schoolers. They have a picking order and they form cliques really quickly based entirely on looks. If you have a breed, that's a really strong clique because they're all exactly the same. If you don't have any specific breeds, you have a nice mix. You will notice that chickens that kind of look the same body shape wise will hang out together, or chickens that have the same color patterns will hang out together. So if you go out to a yard with chickens, you're like, oh, the black and white striped ones are together, the red ones are together, the white ones are together, and they might mix, but not really much at all, except for at night when they're sleeping. The second thing you need to know is that when chickens see blood, they try to pick at it. This is why commercial farms will often debeak chickens so they can't pick at each other, pulling feathers and then drawing blood and then picking more blood. This is also why for a while there was a hatchery that devised these little like sunglasses that you put on your chickens so that they can't see blood and other red objects, which was kind of strange. And the third thing is anything that looks like a worm, spaghetti, stringy, anything, they will go after it non-stop. So now that you know those couple things, we'll continue on. So the other thing, I guess there's four things, is that chicken breeds are kind of like dog breeds or any other type of animal breed, where you get some that are more intelligent, some that are generally stupid, some that are more aggressive, and others that are more passive. It just depends on kind of that genetic material that gets in there. Somewhat nature, somewhat nurture, and again, kind of the variety of birds that you have. So several years ago, my mom was asked by a mutual friend who couldn't have chickens if they would be willing to buy a bunch of really good layers. She would assist with some of the costs of feed and all the other things that go with it and buying the chickens, and then in exchange for getting some eggs out of it. And she really, really wanted a couple good layers, so she really recommended the Red Star, which again are great layers. You can find them at just about any kind of feed store when it's chick season and there's just buckets of chicks around for you to pick from. They're almost always there. Then, so we decided to do about 6 of those, and then we also picked 6 Aracanas, which are also pretty good layers. They're pretty fun. They're the ones that if you've ever seen the pictures that lay like the blue and the green eggs, those are the Aracanas. So we had 12 chickens accounted for. But most catalogs, you have to order a minimum for shipping. They come in the mail and they have to have enough body heat to stay okay. So we had to have at least 25 chickens. So that means we have to find at least 13 more that we would like. And that particular year, my mom had saw that there was a brand new breed that had been developed. Well, similar breed, but had new coloring. It was a Wyandotte, but it was a blue lace Wyandotte, which means it had this really beautiful brassy red color, and then each feather, was outlined kind of in this light powdery blue. Really, really beautiful birds. We'd had Wyandottes in the past. They tend to be a more passive, friendly breed. And we were really excited. So she only got, I think, 4 of them. So now we are up to 16. Still have to get some more. So the rest of them, we just kind of had them throw in a mix of different birds. It's a little bit cheaper. You don't pick necessarily what you want, but you get a little variety, and it's fun, especially kind of guessing what varieties you get as you see them in the box as chicks and then seeing what they grow into. So that's the start of our story. 6 Red Star, 6 Aracanas, which we had before, never had problems with, and then a bunch of other birds that were all mixed up and not really able to click because there was a lot of variety. There'd be no more than 2 to 3 of any variety except for those gold lace, the blue lace Wyandottes that we were excited about, that there were 4 of. Then we get them, they grow, they're inside under the heat lamps, everything's going fine, everything's normal. Then they start to get a little bigger, start picking on each other a little bit, which is normal. If they get too crowded, chickens get bored, and when they're bored and they're crowded, they pick at each other. So they're big enough, it's time to move them outside to the pen. They love it, they run around outside, they have plenty of space. But at night, you have to shut them up in a coop because everything loves the taste of chicken, and if you don't shut them up, animals will get in and eat your chickens, and it's no good. So at night, they get shut up. Then one day, we go down, open it up, there's a dead bird in there. And we go, oh my gosh, what got in here? Was it a weasel? Couldn't be a possum or a raccoon. Everything shut up tight. We had a little murder mystery on our hands. One dead bird and a bunch of very upset birds. Next morning, same thing. Another dead bird, and it was in a very strange, peculiar way. All their tail feathers had been gone, and then pretty much their entire insides had been ripped out and eaten, which is horrifying, especially if you're a younger kid. Not so fun. I was older at this point. I'd been used to the fact that everything likes to eat chicken, and animals tend to eat things in grisly ways. So, aside from the fact of it being dead, I was pretty horrified by the way it had died. Second chicken murdered. Very mysterious murder mystery. Then, the next day, no murdered birds, but later in that day, my mom had gone down to, give them some extra water because it was hot that day, give them some extra food, and she sees the Red Star mercilessly going after a bird that was pretty much midway through being murdered. And that was when we learned that Red Star and Araucana, Red Star are very aggressive, and when they pair them with the Aracanas, they kind of turn into a little gang war when you've got 6 of one and 6 of another, and then a bunch of chickens that are just trying to figure out where they fit in all this mess, because there's no super tight cliques like those 2 cliques. So, eventually we kind of separate and we're like, what on earth are we going to do? We have murder birds on our hands. And the other thing is when chickens taste blood, they kind of just keep going for it, which is not good at all. Eventually we ended up giving away, I think, half of our birds to someone else who just wanted 3 chickens. And we're like, here, 3 Red Star. There you go. They're there. Then that kind of decreased the level of Red Star, that the Aracanas also kind of calmed down, because as there was these 2 different sects that were kind of fighting each other, all of the others kind of got caught in the crosshairs, and unfortunately, almost all of the blue-laced Red Wyandottes got murdered because they were exotic looking and different, and were also big enough that they could be a threat on the pecking order. So, pretty terrifying experience. It's part of why I will never get Red Star again. If you are listening to this and horrified and like, I don't know if I want chickens now, there are plenty of breeds that are very, very calm and passive. The best thing to do is either have all the same variety or have a large mix. If you want a good egg layer that is more calm, I really recommend the Astrolorps. They're a little bigger, but I have never had an issue with them. They are kind of known as gentle giants. Very docile, can be very friendly, a little more intelligent, and they tend to hold the world record for most eggs laid. So if you have more questions about chickens, please put them in the comments below. If you have your own horror stories, I'd love to hear them and talk about them. And if you have any questions just in general about chickens, I would love to answer. So hopefully this didn't scare you too much, and see you next time.